Hey guys, TegaSword here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the deluxe TegaSword Sentai ring set from the No.1 Sentai Gozyuger. This is a special set containing the TegaSword, which is the changer and also acts as the robo for the Gozyugers, along with additional contents not featured in the normal release, as well as some exclusive contents. So, included in the set are the TegaSword, 7 Sentai rings, each with an alternate ring band, as well as the Tsumega buckle, belt straps, and belt stoppers. So, let's get started. First up, we'll take a look at the included Sentai rings, which are this year's collectible item. Now here I have them divided by how they're normally attained. First two we have are the Goju Wolf and TegaSword Red Sentai rings, which are normally included with the TegaSword. Then we have the Boon Boomger and King Ogre Sentai rings, which are the first Legend Sentai ring set to be released, which was released at the start of the series. Then we have the Don Brothers and Ryu Soldier Sentai rings, which are a second set that is not released yet at the time of recording, March 2025, but are set to release later this month. And finally we have the Jew Ranger Sentai ring, which is exclusive to this set and one other set. So, starting from left to right, we have the Goju Wolf Sentai ring, which is the first example of a transformation Sentai ring. This one does depict the helmet of Goju Wolf, which has a nice mix of red, black, and gold. You can definitely see the wolf design elements to it. And there are comparisons made between Sentai rings and Wizard rings. Certainly styled similar and do use a similar ring system, though Wizard rings are considerably bigger. We've got the band here. We have some buttons on the back, which will be used for the TegaSword to recognize it. And this is the standard size, which, as you can see, doesn't even fully fit on my pinky, but with every Sentai ring, it also includes a larger band. You can slide that on in the same system used for Wizard rings and also the High Alchemist rings of Kamen Rider Gozyuger. And now this can probably fit, and I'm glad that they fixed their mistake from Gozyuger and actually did include the bigger size, which is based on the LL size Wizard ring bands. Then we have the TegaSword Red Sentai ring, done up in mostly clear red. You can see it has some nice wolf details, like the eyes, above the mane, ears, and claws. And these types of rings are used as the heads for the TegaSword in its robot mode. You have the pins on the back. And again, you can swap out the ring part, and then it's wearable. Then we get into our Legend Sentai, or as they're kind of being called in this series, Universe Warriors Sentai rings, starting up with the Boon Boomger Sentai ring. So for these ones, these kind of depict a little collage representative of that series, and then it's got this nice ring around the edges, which is painted up in a nice gold color, and is pretty distinguishable from the gold plastic color used at the bottom. A close look. You see this one depicts the Boom Boom trailer, as well as the kind of main Boom Boom cards of the other four. And one little detail that I'm happy to see is that they did represent Boon Orange with Boom Boom Dozer instead of Shovel. So he has the number 49 here, and that does lead me to something that's a little bit odd and I think a bit probably controversial about Gozyuger, in that it is the 50th anniversary series for Super Sentai. However, it's not technically the 50th Super Sentai series, because there was a little early weirdness where some series lasted longer than others, and so the years that Sentai aired do differ from what numbered Sentai they are, or which numbered Sentai series, and that was kind of retconned to where, even though it's technically the 49th Super Sentai series, they're calling Gozyuger number 50, but I'm not going to acknowledge that because that does conflict with the previous numbering system, and especially does conflict with Zenkaiger, which had a big thing with numbers going. So, even though it says for 9, this is, for each one, they're technically supposed to be a number earlier, so it's the kind of thing that can be disregarded. But for these, they also have a little gimmick where you can see this part here. You can take the ring part and unlatch it in the back, and that allows you to rotate the image. So now we have an image of Boon Red back there. And this part has now been smoothed out, which will help with it fitting into the TegaSword. Then you have the King Oger Sentai ring depicts. In front we have Kuwagata, God Kuwagata, and in the back we have King Kokusa's castle. We'll just rotate it around. And you have Kuwagata Oger. Then the Don Brothers Sentai ring, which has Don Momotaro altar in front, as well as the sort of procession platform for the Don Brothers in the back. Rotate around, and we have Don Momotaro. Then we have the Ryusoldier Sentai ring, depicting Tiramigo, as well as the 5 Ryusoldiers raising up their swords. Then rotate around, we have Ryusol Red. And finally we have the Zyuranger Sentai ring, which has the Tyrannosaurus Guardian Beast, I believe they're called, as well as the dinosaur medals, or I don't exactly remember what they call the dinosaur coins, or power coins, in Zyuranger. But we have those back here. And right around, and we have Tyrannoranger. Next up, we'll take a look at the TegaSword in its changer mode. And a fun thing about the TegaSword is that if we dissect the name a little bit, we get the concept for it as a changer right at the bat. So it is called the TegaSword, but if we divide up into TegaSword, it essentially translates to hand is sword. And what you can see here is indeed something that looks like a hand with a sword blade coming out of it. So this is done up in a very nice gold plastic color with a very nice metallic swirl. All of this gold is the plastic and none of it is painted, and as I've kind of said in the past, I very much appreciate when something is mostly plastic color, because that means there is less potential paint to be damaged. I think that this is a very nice color that still looks good despite not being painted. That being said, it does have some gunmetal and metallic steel blue accents painted on. So it's not entirely devoid of paint, and then we have a kind of grayish black base. You can see that each finger is well molded, and they did, take note to make them different lengths. We can have the thumb down here, and then more details here. It kind of looks like it's got claws coming out of it. Here's a spot where you will insert Sentai rings, as well as the blade here, done up in a nice clear blue, and it is soft flexible plastic. Have the handle down here, battery compartment. It actually has batteries already included, so you don't have to worry about putting your own, as well as the power switch, speaker here, and the grip with an activation button. So this has some sounds on its own. You can start by switching it on. And the TegaSword is kind of a living being, so it does have a voice, and is actually voiced by voice actor Yuki Kaji, a pretty popular voice actor known for roles like Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, but who also was the voice of Gaon/Zenkai Gaon in Zenkaiger. So on its own, press the button, you'll get 3 different phrases. First is, now state your wish. Here particularly it says number one, or number one, it's number one. And the third one is use this ring, that is our contract. Also of note is that this has a motion sensor, so if you give it a little hit, you get that sound. As well as that sound if you move it with enough force. Next we'll get to the transformation, for which we need the Goju Wolf Sentai ring. Now the way this works is that you insert the Sentai ring into the slot, clap your hands rhythmically, and then press the button to activate. However, something to note is that unfortunately, despite including a larger band to fit adult hands, that ring band will not fit into the slot, because as you can kind of see, on the smaller one it has a wire opening, whereas on the bigger one it's narrow, and this is what allows it to fit on. So if you want to use it, we're going to need to switch it back to the smaller ring size. So here goes the transformation. And there we have the transformation into Goju Wolf. Now in order to remove the rings, you have to just pull it out, and sometimes it's a little bit easier if you move the middle finger out a little bit to give more clearance. Now you can actually just do the transformation without even having to clap your hands, as after a few cycles it will activate automatically. But it is more appropriate to do the clapping, and as you might notice, there's a specific pattern. It's to clap twice, then once, then twice, then once. Now after transformation, if you press the button, we'll get a basic attack sound. Motion sensor still works. You can get a finisher if we press and hold the button. That's the Finish Finger Wolf. Then we can see what the TegaSword red ring does in this mode. So that gives the summoning sound for the Wolf Decaliber Go. The signature weapon for Goju Wolf, however, its appearance has not been revealed yet. So I'll have the basic attacks, then we have a finisher, which is the Wolf Sword Finish. Then we'll get to our Legend Sentai rings. So first, Boom Boomter. And so these rings allow the user to transform into the Red Ranger from a past Sentai. Then the finisher. Then King Oger. Then Don Brothers. Then New Soldier. Wait, no, I got the wrong one. Here's New Soldier. Last but not least, Jew Ranger. Next, we'll get to the transformation into the TegaSword robo. However, upon activating it, there is some sounds that go on that are on time of timer, so I'm going to first show you guys how it's done with the sounds off, and then I'll show you with the sounds on. So, for the transformation, first we need to take the side fingers here and pull them back to allow us to pull down the legs, rotate them around, and lift up the nails to come the feet. Then for the left arm, bend out the shoulder pad and rotate it down. For the right arm, rotate the shoulder pad, rotate it down, rotate the arm, and pull out the blade here. Then come over here. I'm going to unlatch the two parts of the sword, which are done with these two different latches, top and bottom. And rotate these pieces down, and fold down this piece here. We're going to put in the ring and lift it up. Now we'll do that once more from the top, but this time with the TegaSword powered on. And here we have TegaSword Red, which is the mode of the TegaSword Robo controlled by Goju Wolf. As one of the gimmicks of this series is that rather than having various different combined mechs to combine into one, instead the TegaSword Robo has different modes, one for each of the different Gozyugers. So here's the one for Wolf. So, let's take a look in detail. First up we have the head. We now see the face reveal with nice gold and blue details added in there. You now see that you got a round ring for the chest mark with 3 claws, actually similar to the chest of the Gozyugers themselves. Got shoulder pads here. Got the waist and arms here, and one pretty cool detail is that on this, the right hand now resembles a smaller version of the TegaSword, complete with the blade down here, and even detail for where a ring would be right there. Got the details on the leg and feet. We can now see this is kind of split open like that. The halves of the blade now become this pretty cool cape here at the back. And you see back here, you still have access to the handle. So something that makes it a little bit easier is if you bring up this part like that, which then allows you to grab onto it like this. And there are a couple things it can do on its own. First is that if you kind of give it a good hit, you get a sort of movement sound to it, which will also light up the head and chest. It does have a little bit of articulation. For the left arm, it'll rotate up and down. And for the right arm, got the up and down rotation, as well as a bicep swivel thanks to the way the transformation is. Then in addition, you can press and hold the button and back, you get the finisher. Which is technically the same one as when it's the TegaSword as a changer. Additionally, you can use other Sentai rings as the head of the TegaSword Robo. And so I'll give a couple of examples. Just pull out the ring here. And put in the one for Goju Wolf. And this basically just bypasses to get straight to whatever sound they normally make when in the changer mode. Same goes for any Legend Sentai rings. And finally we have the Tsumega Buckle. And like with the TegaSword, the design concept can be found out by just dissecting its name. If we divide it up into Tsume ga Bakuru, that translates to claws are buckle. And it looks like to be a belt buckle made out of 2 claws. You can see the fingers interlocked here, intertwined like that. Has the pretty standard type of Sentai belt straps where you something at the back and you have the smaller 2 stoppers to hold in 2 places. So open up, just pull on both sides. It'll cause it to open and you have space for 1 Sentai ring. So for example, you can take the Ju Ranger, set it right there, just set it in place, and put it back up. So it does make it pretty similar to other Sentai buckles where it could basically only hold 1 of any of that Sentai's given collectibles, but it is good for roleplay purposes. And there we go. So overall, this is definitely a pretty good starting set for a Gozyuger collection, though I do have some choice words about some of the decisions made for this set. Now first of all, to address the elephant in the room, yes, I do have 2 TegaSwords, and that's just because of my personal collecting style where I like to display my changers and mechs separately, so I decided to get 1 for each. Obviously, if you are not that kind of collector, that is completely optional. And you can just choose how you choose to display it. As far as the TegaSword goes, I think that it is interesting in how it's both a changer and a robo, but it does two things, though I don't think it does both equally. I think it's actually quite good as a changer. Although the grip is admittedly small for adult hands, it does have a good amount of interactivity with both, of course, the button presses as well as the motion sensors, which does add a good amount of playability, especially for the standby sequences. Not to mention the fact that for the Sentai rings, I do appreciate that they do include adult-sized ring parts, though I wish they would have adjusted the mold so that said ring parts could actually fit into the sword with the larger one attached. But that is how it is. I do think it's quite good that you get the different playability options with the different Sentai rings. I think that the Legend Sentai rings are pretty cool, especially in how they have that nice rotating gimmick where you have the two different images swap around, so I think that's pretty good. However, I think it is a bit weaker on the robo side of things. Now, TegaSword Red is a little bit wonky to me, a little bit iffy to me, because despite the name, it doesn't have much red on it, and that's something I'm going to also address in a later video. But also, it is something where it is definitely kind of built off of its gimmicks more so than how it is as a robot. This doesn't have much articulation at all. In addition to the little bits you get in the arms, you technically have a waist rotation because of the transformation, but it definitely does kind of irk me in how I see it. And if you take a look at the elbows, for example, you see what look to be some elbow joints, but those are completely static. So you really kind of gotta be sold on the gimmicks it can do as a robot in order to really like it in that sense. But this certainly is something on the more ambitious side, even if it's not the first time that they've made a changer that was also a robo. Now, it is interesting that as far as this set goes, this is one of the only ways to get the Tsumega buckle, and just judging how they did things with Gav and how only special set comes with the Valen buckle, it does seem like they are choosing not to anymore sell these types of small, maybe holster type buckles on their own anymore, which makes sense because they probably weren't selling well enough. And as I alluded to, there's another way to get that, which is in another additional set for the TegaSword, which is technically supposed to be Toys R Us Japan exclusive. That includes the normal contents of the TegaSword, plus the Tsumega buckle and G-Ranger ring, but instead of getting a few of the Legend Sentai rings, that gives you all four of the other Rangers transformation rings. So it does give you a couple options, but that also gets me into a point I wanted to make about the way they market it. In fact, that this set includes a couple of Sentai rings that, up until they're fully released is like an early way to get them, which I just feel kind of iffy on, because I feel like it's trying to tempt people by giving them these kind of early bird things. And there's something similar in Gav, where there was a big set of the Gav belt that did include, of course, the normal contents. I think it might have included the Gozyuger holder, it might have even included the Gavga blade, and then included a bunch of Gojo, including ones that were not released yet at the time of its release. And I think it's a bit greedy on their part going forward, but how you choose to buy this is totally up to you. And I would say that if this appeals to you, recommend getting it. And I would definitely say that even if it's not getting this set to start, I would look into getting just a couple of additional Sentai rings to start you off, just so you have a more decent amount of playability. But for what it's worth, I can still recommend it if you like what you see here. Next time, I'll be reviewing the Deluxe Sentai ring set, Goju Leon and Goju Chirano, as well as the Deluxe Leon Buster 50 and Deluxe Chirano Hammer 50. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Give me your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KRX50, riding off.